Hello, little rats. Welcome back to the Rat Diaries podcast. Hey, that is so good. I hope everybody's having a fantastic Tuesday. This is Rachel Weber, your host. Welcome back to another episode. Wow. February. We made it, folks. We made it. January's over. Goodbye. Goodbye, January. That was quite the trek. Honestly, I'm just so proud of us all for making it past that month. I am out of breath. My back is hurting. The amount of just ish that went down. I know I talked about this in my last episode. If you haven't listened to the last episode, I just talk about how like January felt like the longest month and just so much went down. And I talk about my personal traumas because everybody cares about my personal traumas because this is my podcast. That's my I love having a platform. It's so good. Like, it's just so funny. Like, you guys just know everything about me. And it's funny, as I've started this podcast, a lot of people will like come up to me. A lot of people. No, I've just had like people come up to me and be like, oh my God, I can't believe like blah, 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 blah. They'll like talk to me about a current event in my life. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, how do they know that? And then I'm like, oh yeah, my podcast. You guys listen. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Well, if you're new here, hey, this is my podcast, Rat Diaries. We're staying consistent. We're just growing this platform. It's a small audience. Someone asked me the other day how many people listen to my podcast. And I was like, I actually have no idea because the thing to like look up my metrics and like how many people are listening, I just like honestly can't figure it out and it doesn't seem to be working properly. But I get these alerts that like I'm really big in Scandinavia. I'm not joking. Like, I literally got an alert that I was really big in Scandinavia and I was going to look and listen, or look to see how many people are listening in Scandinavia. And like the data won't show. It's very strange. But yeah, so if you're from Scandinavia and you're tuning in, what up, baddies? How we doing? I love you. I love you, Scandinavia. It's weird. So it's funny to think about, like, do you think that I actually have a global reach? Honestly, ignorance is bliss. Like, maybe no one's listening. Maybe there's like one person in Scandinavia and it says that that's my top country because only one person listens and they're from Scandinavia. So if that's you, I love you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. You know, this is all for you. I dream and think of you all day. And yeah, maybe I need to start covering more like pop culture news in Scandinavia. Who knows? You know what's interesting to think about? I'll get into the point of my episode in a second, but we're so immersed and like consumed by all of the pop culture and like drama that's going on in the US. What's going on in Scandinavia? Like, do they have influencers that are just like up to no good? Like, who is there like an equivalent of like the Rachel Kirkconnell and Matt James breakup in Scandinavia? There's gotta be. I want to know about their drama. I really do. I need to know. That would be crazy. Like, are there influencers over there that are just like making like huge mistakes? I feel like the US, we're so immersed in like everybody's drama because we just always want to get into everybody's tea. Like, we want to, know everything. And we're just nosy little hoes, but we're very selfish, us Americans. Like, we don't really, like, I feel like we just only talk about ourselves though. Like, we'll get into other people's drama, but like we really focus on our own. What's going on in Scandinavia? What's going on? Whatever. Okay, let's move past that. Okay, so on today's episode, it's honestly kind of a serious one. I don't know. Well, this podcast is called Rat Diaries Podcast. Rat Diaries because I'm a rat, and to revisit the whole backstory of the rat thing. So when I was little, I had a pet rat named Eloise. Bless her soul, rest in peace. And it was a real rat. And I would actually, she was black and white. She was white body, black spots. I actually named her after the character Eloise from the movie Eloise at Christmas because I loved her and she was iconic. And so, my Eloise was my rat. She's my best friend. I wanted to actually get like a little chihuahua, but my parents were like, no, we don't need another dog. So you'll get a rat. Naturally. I loved Eloise so much. I would actually take her for walks around the neighborhood on a harness with a leash at the age of like 8, 9. I'd walk around the neighborhood. I would actually sometimes go to the mall and bring Eloise in my purse and I wouldn't tell my mom. And then she'd be like, oh, there's a rat. Maybe she actually didn't know. I can't remember if I ever told her, but I'd go in public places with a rat in my bag. So yeah, so eventually that kind of just evolved into like calling me a rat. Like I am a rat and I really connect with that. So that's the piece of rat in Rat Diaries. Diaries is just like, I have so many thoughts and, you know, things going on in my brain. And this is my diary. Like I literally talk to the camera as if it's my diary. So, yeah, what my little journal entry is, you know, dear diary, today I'm going to talk about how I'm overwhelmed. I feel so overwhelmed. This past weekend on Saturday, I actually had somewhat of a mental breakdown, and I just want to get into it. And I want everybody to understand that you're not alone when you have these crazy mental breakdowns. And you feel like nothing in your life is like going the right way, or you're just like, how am I supposed to do everything? Like, it's so human. And even though I'm just, you know, your average Joe, plain Jane gal, like, it's not like I'm like running a fucking like Fortune 500 company and I have 17 children. Like, I'm only, wait, how old am I? Am I 27? I think I'm 27. I always forget what age I am. I think I'm 27. Yeah. I'm only 27 years old and I'm overwhelmed. I'm so overwhelmed with my job, with my extracurriculars, with maintaining friendships, with keeping up with everything. And this weekend I finally had like a breakdown. I felt like January was a really long month. I got sick 2 times. You know, I just started a new job. I have all these other things going on in my life and I'm just tired. I'm really tired. And it's also scary too, because I'm getting closer to the age of 30 and I feel like my life isn't figured out yet. And I know that it is totally normal to feel that way. And like, I should calm down because I'm young. And, you know, I've heard these motivational speeches from people before that are like, your life is just getting started. Like your 30s are when you start to like feel like things are coming together. And then in your 40s, like you actually have like a system. Well, I'm 27 and like all these like societal pressures in life just make me feel like I don't have it together. And I do think that social media is a huge part of that, because I watch all these people out there like building a new house that's like 4,000 square feet and they're wearing like Acne Studios outfits and like all these like sunglasses and Prada and Gucci and blah, blah, just like vomiting money on me. And I go to look up a dress that a girl's wearing and it's like $400 and I'm like, I can't afford to wear a $400 dress. And like, why do you have like 3 dogs and like your house is beautiful and like you have a Tesla and like all this shit and you're only 26 years old? And I'm like, what is like, how, you know? And I know that people say like, okay, your life is just getting started, but I also just need to take a break for a second and just like, I think it's okay to just say, damn, I'm really overwhelmed. I'm really overwhelmed. And I don't feel like life is together for me. And it's hard. And I don't think there's any shame in just saying that out loud. So basically my mental breakdown over the weekend was like, you know, I was feeling really off and I was talking to Nick and I didn't think I was going to have a mental breakdown. I was just telling him like, hey, I feel off. Like I feel like I'm not really myself right now. And then all of a sudden I just started like rambling. Like I was like, okay, you know, I have to take care of my house. And I bought a condo 2 years ago. And when I bought this condo, it was everything to me. I was going through a really hard time and I poured my heart and soul into this place. I used my own money to, you know, buy it and like redecorate it and do all these like DIY projects. And like at the time I was going through a really dark spot, and this place like gave me a purpose. And all these projects like made me come to life. And I felt so proud of myself to do all the stuff that I did in here. And it really filled my cup. And I love it. I love my condo, but it's so expensive. Like, number one, my mortgage is about like the same that you'd pay in like rent, I would say. In Scottsdale, and given the life and like, you know, lifestyle I want to live in, like I feel like this is like pretty on par for what you would pay for an apartment. And then, but you know, like I had to buy a washer dryer because it broke. Okay, there's $2,000. I just had to get all the shutoff valves replaced in my house. This is all like within the course of like these past 2 months. I had to replace all the water shutoff valves underneath the sinks. $600. And I'm doing this all alone. Then, the plumber comes and he messes something up, it breaks. Okay, then I have to call him, and I'm like trying to deal with like my boss and my job, and like everyone's like, someone's trying to call me, and I'm like, oh fuck, I have to get this repaired, like I don't have time. It's just like this spiral. So that was one thing. And then meanwhile, I'm dealing with a new job. I'm trying to get settled, and it's been like, it's difficult finding, getting a new job and like trying to figure out your rhythm and like understanding the way that people work in your organization. And so that was a huge challenge. It's been a challenge for me. So I'm managing that. I'm trying to do my best and like be the best version of myself for my employer, but I also have to take care of my house all by myself. I also feel the pressure to, take care of myself. I love fitness and I love eating healthy. So like I need to cook for myself. I need to feed myself healthy things, but healthy things are so expensive at the grocery store. So and I'm spending all this money on my condo. And then, so that's stressful. And then I also have passions outside of my job, my career, and my condo. I have friends that I want to spend time with. I have events that I want to go to because I don't want to lose those relationships with my friends that I've built. And if I start saying no to things, then no one's going to invite me to anything. And then one day I'm going to look up and I'll have no friends. That sounds like really over dramatic, but it's something I think about. And I'm a people person. I love to be with people. So that's an added pressure. And then on top of that, I have this podcast and I love this podcast. And I'm so proud of how I've stayed consistent and I continue to create content and do things that really make me feel good. And also like this podcast is a really great exercise for me to continue to like build my skills and like my speaking skills and my video editing skills and just maintaining, being tech savvy. Like as we get older and we start to not focus on, certain, if you don't practice something and continue to practice it, you lose that skill. Like I took a year off of video editing a few years ago and I went back to it after like a 6-month break and I literally forgot everything. And so through that experience, I was like, well, damn, I really need to stay consistent so that I can keep this skill up because I really feel like, well, it's something I love doing and I'm good at it. I'm really goddamn good at it. So like, all right, so I have the podcast. I want to keep doing that. But then I also, outside of work, I teach a workout class at a workout studio called Body Politic. If you haven't been, you should come. And I love teaching workout classes because if you know me, I've got energy. I've got like when I go in there, the endorphins I get are just amazing. Like I love it. Fitness is a passion for me. And like give me a microphone and some loud ass music and some sort of machine to get people on to like, lead them in a workout. Oh my God, it's bliss for me. And, I don't want to give up teaching workout classes. And it's also, I need the money and it's something I enjoy doing and I get a workout while I'm doing it. So like, okay, so there's another thing I want to keep doing. And then on top of that, I'm really trying to build my portfolio from a marketing perspective and like social media management. And so I actually manage that workout studio's social media. And I love like fun content creation because I work in marketing in the material handling and like supply chain industry. And that type of social media is just like not fun for me. It's different. It's still fun. Like I love like a challenge to create, a creative type of asset for something that's not as like exciting and sexy as like, something that's a little bit easier, like a workout studio. But so in order to like keep my game up and like stay consistent and also, it is a little bit of extra income as well, but I love doing it for Body Politic. I love managing their social media, but I have all these different things going on and I'm overwhelmed because I just feel like something in my life is missing and not everything is moving like to get like everything feels, I don't feel like everything is in sync. Like I don't feel like there's something off in one of those things. And I don't think, like, maybe it's me trying to find my way with my job. Like, I can't quite put my finger on it, but something needs to change. And I get that all that other stuff that I'm doing outside of my full-time job is like, you know, extra stuff that like maybe I should just focus on my full-time job. But why do I give up something that I feel passionate about and like that makes me excited to wake up every day? Like, why would I give those things up just because it's hard? And it's really hard to like make that decision in the moment personally for me because like I don't want to stop those things, but like when do you know if it's like you actually do need to give something up, or when do you know to like push through and persevere and stick with the plan and like keep going even when it's hard? Like which one is, when do you know when it's toxic? Like when do you know when it's, that's what I can't figure out. I can't figure it out. And I was talking to Nick about it over the weekend, and he's like, and this is the difference between men and women. So he's like, well, you know, make a plan. Like, what's your plan then? Like, how are you going to fix this? And I'm like, no, like we're too premature for a plan. Like, I don't know what the plan is. And I guess, sure, I could carve out like a few hours a week to sit down and like think about this plan, but like for me plans don't come that way. And I think for men they do come that way. Like they like can just sit down, it's very black and white to them. They're like, all right, well, this has to change and this has to change. Like that's just not my personality. Like what I need to do is vent to you right now and tell you how I'm feeling, and I need you to like be there for me. And then like I'm gonna figure out the plan. I haven't felt like this for too long. It's only been like 3 months that I've felt, you know, overwhelmed. Like I've had a really rough like past 6 months. I got laid off. I started a new job. I got laid off from a company that I thought was like, I really liked my job. It ended up being like for the better because it was a toxic place. But now a lot of change has happened with me. And so it's trying to navigate all of that change while also like continuing my passions, but I'm also trying to not like burn myself out emotionally and physically. And like, it's really difficult for me to try and figure out like why, like what is too far? Like where do I draw the line and like, okay, you're pushing too hard. Because I don't think that like just because you start to feel overwhelmed, you should just immediately stop everything and just like, you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm making any sense, but so I just wanted to like really share my personal experience and talk about that because, and I just really want to emphasize that like, even when you're doing the things that you love, the weight of responsibility can still feel really overwhelming. And in my opinion, I think what I'm going to keep doing is like continue to push through. I'm going to make a mental note that, hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed right now. I know that I had a breakdown about this, but like that breakdown was a sign that like, okay, now it is time to kick into the planning phase and like, let's try and figure this out and work through it. But I don't want to give up the things that I love. But I just feel like it's just so normal for you to feel overwhelmed. And I also feel like it's really normal for a lot of women to feel overwhelmed because let's just talk about how, well, number one, there's all these societal expectations for women and like the pressure to like do it all. I feel like especially around women, like for men, it always seems like they go for that one career path. It's just like, this is what they do and this is who they are and they just go for it. And like, they are known as like, you know, the amazing finance guy, or like they're known as like, oh, he's the tech whiz at this company, or like, you know, like they have like a single, like what they're known for thing. That's just my opinion. I could be totally wrong. Shoot me. But for women, I feel like we have to do it all. Like, okay, well, you have to be good at your job, and also like you probably should be working out, and you have to be like extremely regimented, and you also have to be an amazing cook, and you also have to like know how to host and be super friendly and like take care of your friends and family, and you have to be the life of the party, and you have to be very caring, and you have to be loving, and you have to and it's like men are not, they don't have those expectations. In my opinion, they don't. And it's hard to to take yourself out of those expectations. Like, even though I know that that's wrong and I don't need to do all those things, I still feel it. And let's also talk about how women, our hormones fluctuate. I don't ever wake up one day feeling the same. And like, women's hormones, they impact our energy, our stress tolerance, our emotions. Like, when our estrogen and our progesterone are like fluctuating throughout the month, it has majorly different impacts on like who we are and how we act on a day-to-day basis. So like, that's why some weeks feel much more manageable than others. And that's also why I feel like it's just really fucking annoying how society has built all these standards around us when our bodies and the way that we work and think are so much different than a man's, lifestyle and their body and the way that they work and think. Like, they wake up feeling the same like every day. And if that could be me, I would love that. But the fact that I have to go to my job and like work for 8 hours a day and like, it's just bullshit. Like, I don't work like that. Like, I'm going to wake up one day and be in agonizing pain because of my special time, my period's coming, And so like, to talk about that on a deeper level, like, I'm really into like women's health and like hormones and my hormonal fluctuations throughout the month. And I really do actually like build my lifestyle around that. I have an Aura ring and I have the Natural Cycles app to like track like where I am in my cycle. And I try to modify my lifestyle to where I am in my cycle. So like, to talk about that, I made some notes just to like explain everything. So as women, our hormone cycles play a really significant role in how we feel emotionally and physically throughout the month. And so if you understand this connection, can help us be more compassionate with ourselves during times of like when we're feeling really overwhelmed. So when you understand like the connection between your hormones and how they're fluctuating throughout the month and like where you are in your cycle, it really does add like a sense of, it gives you a sense of awareness and you feel a lot more calm knowing like, okay, I'm in my luteal phase. That's why I'm crying right now. Like, I'm not crazy. I'm not like, overwhelmed and like for no reason. Like, I think that does come into play. So to give you a little information about that. So estrogen, often referred to as the primary female sex hormone, has a profound impact on our mood. So rising levels of estrogen are associated with increased serotonin production, the neurotransmitter that contributes to feelings of being well and happy. Okay. So this means that during certain phases of our menstrual cycle, when estrogen levels are higher, we might feel more energetic and positive. Okay, great. So that's usually like in the first half of your cycle, you're typically a lot more positive. And then on the flip side, as we approach our menstruation, so when you're about to get your period, both estrogen and progesterone levels decline. So this can lead to mood swings, irritability, and a heightened response to your stress, which is probably why I had a mental breakdown this weekend because I'm about to get my period next week, if anybody cares. And it's not uncommon to feel more anxious or overwhelmed during this time. And so additionally, the other thing, the stress hormone cortisol can further influence our hormone imbalance. So chronic stress may lead to elevated cortisol levels, which disrupt the function of other hormones, potentially exacerbating feelings of overwhelm and emotional instability. Cortisol, that's like such a hot topic. I don't really know that much about cortisol, but I would just say like, there's so many things you can do to lower your cortisol levels, but like, for instance, a really great example of like how I modify my lifestyle when I'm in different phases of my cycle is like, okay, if I am in my luteal phase or I'm like, that's like at the end of your cycle when you're starting to like feel a little bit more tired, you're a little bit more sad, like you get the feels during your luteal phase. So during that, you're not supposed to be doing like really heavy workouts or like going for long runs or like anything very like physically exerting yourself really heavily during that time. So like I will avoid like lifting really heavy weights or like doing a lot of cardio. Like I do a lot of like steady like walking or like uphill walking or more like a Pilates, like yoga, Legree, like any type of like low impact exercise. You want to move slower because it can really actually increase your cortisol levels and put your body under a lot more stress when you're in your luteal phase, or like in that, that window of time leading up to your period. I can't give an exact time frame because everybody's cycle is different. And that's something that's kind of a misconception with like periods, is like, oh, we all have the same like cycle length of like, it's always, 28 to 30 days. And like, this is your window here and here and here. Like, people could be ovulating for one day. Or people could be ovulating for 5 days. People could be ovulating at the beginning of their period, at the end of it's all different. So your luteal phase though is going to be typically like at the end leading up to your period. And you should feel like this is when like, your boobs get a little bit sore, or like your back is hurting, or you're tired, or you're sad. Like, just know that once it's leading up to your period, you should start to take it easy and really like listen to your body. I hate when people say listen to your body, but like, you should listen to your body. Yeah. So like, I just wanted to call out all of that out, because just recognizing like all these patterns is really going to allow you to anticipate and manage your just emotional health better. And it's so essential to remember that experiencing these different hormonal fluctuations is just like a natural part of a female's biology. And I try to be very mindful with it. So like, that is something I'm trying to do to really lower my, mental breakdown and overwhelmed feelings. But I did want to dip into like, okay, talking about just like how other ways that we can like, figure out how to manage being overwhelmed. I am really trying to like reframe my perspective right now. Like, this is a part of my plan. Nick, if you're listening, here's my plan. So I am trying to reframe my perspective around like feeling so overwhelmed all the time. Like, instead of feeling so sorry for myself and like, oh, I have so much to do, I'm trying to shift myself into saying like, okay, I'm choosing to do the things I care about, and I love it. Like, I don't have so much to do. I'm choosing to make time to do the things I care about, and I feel good after I do them. And something I mentioned in my last episode is like a quote that I'm trying to live by is like, stop disappointing yourself. And not in a toxic way of like, go, 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 like don't stop. It's like, okay, I know what I care about and I know what I need to get done, and like, I'm choosing to do that. So like, don't act like there's like a gun to your head, like you have to do all these things. I know I don't, but remember how good they make you feel. And then just, taking breaks and setting boundaries. So I need to be, and also just like not setting such a high standard for myself of perfection. Like, not all of my responsibilities have to be perfect and have to, reach perfection. Sometimes like just like good enough is enough, in my opinion. And that is something that I struggle with, is like, okay, I didn't do that. It's not good enough. I failed. Like, for instance, this podcast, I don't post any clips on social media that often. I do it like every once in a blue moon. Well, at least I'm recording the podcast and I am putting it on YouTube every single time. Yeah, if you didn't know, this is on YouTube, so you should go watch it if you want to watch me in my living room with my no couches because my furniture was stolen. That's another story. Well, that's in the first episode or the last episode. So if you want to hear that story, please do. So like, yeah, just know that like sometimes just showing up and attempting to get it done, or just like getting something done and not actually like reaching perfection and hitting every single marker that you were wanting to hit, is enough. And it is enough. It is enough. It's like when people say like, oh, you came to this workout class, like if you're struggling and like whatever, and you're not trying your best, like at least you showed up. That's a huge part of the battle. Like for me with this podcast, when I start to be like, oh, I'm so tired, I don't want to record. It's like, oh, but then I have to make all the social media clips and whatever. I just get the microphone out and I'm like, let's go, baby. Let's go. If I don't do the social media clips, fuck it. Who cares? Who cares? No one. I know I do deep down, but I can't do it all. It's good enough that I'm doing it. So yeah, but something that also helps me is like reading some inspirational quotes. And there are a few that I wanted to share with you that actually like made me feel inspired, because I always look at all these like other badass women in the public eye out there that I just kind of like look up to. And so First one I want to quote is Serena Williams. So like in her 2020 post she did on Instagram, she said, working and being a mom is not easy. I am often exhausted, stressed, and then I go to play a professional tennis match. We keep going, and I'm so proud and inspired by women who do it day in and day out. And then she talked about her career and how she balances that with motherhood. And she's like, I still have to learn a balance of being there for my child and being there for me. I'm working on it. I never understood women before when they put themselves in second or third place. And it's so easy to do. It's so easy to do. I loved that. I'm like, you see these women in the spotlight, like we all have these problems. We all feel them. We all feel them. We're all exhausted. We're not alone. And when you feel like you don't have it together and, you know, things aren't going the right way or not as planned, just know that like sometimes just showing up is enough and you're trying your best and you do not have to always strive for perfection. Okay, another quote, Michelle Obama, Queen. She, in her memoir, Becoming Michelle, so I haven't read this, but I should read it. She wrote, "For me, becoming isn't about arriving somewhere or achieving a certain aim. I see it instead as a forward motion, a means of evolving, a way to reach continuously forward toward a better self. The journey doesn't end." That whole "so you can have it all," nope, not the same time. That's a lie. And it's not always enough to learn in. Wait, hold on. Let me read that over again. You guys are like, huh? What is she saying? Glitch. Okay, my AI robot self was glitching there. Okay, so she addressed the challenges of like balancing multiple roles in life, and she remarked, like that whole "so you can have it all" thing. Nope, not at the same time. That's a lie, and it's not always enough to lean in because that shit doesn't work all the time. So like, okay, you can have it all thing. This is kind of going against what I was saying earlier, but like, yeah, you really can't have it all. So I think I need to just continuously like do evaluations and like reviews of myself. And I've noted that I'm overwhelmed and I have all these other passions in life, but like at the end of the day, yeah, you really can't do it all. So if I need to figure out where my priorities lie, and that's something that I'm going to be evaluating. So thanks, Michelle. And then last thing, so Brene Brown, who's like a research professor and author, she has really discussed a lot about vulnerability and the human experience. And so she mentioned that she says vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome. She also talked about, and she really emphasized that, she said, even to me, the issue of staying small, sweet, quiet, and modest sounds like an outdated problem. But the truth is that women still run into those demands whenever we find and use our voices. Amen, Brene. Amen. Just like all of these quotes, the reason I say all these quotes is because they just really highlight that like even highly accomplished individuals in our society experience feelings of overwhelm and stress. And like, I just think that we really need to normalize the conversation around just like how important it is to not feel crazy that you're overwhelmed, and like it's totally normal that you are going through a challenge right now and like you're not sure how to break through it, and you know, really discover that being perfect is overrated and it's also boring. So keep fucking up. That's honestly my message today. Just keep fucking up. Those fuck ups, they're going to make you stronger. They will. So yeah. So that's my little spiel for today. I'm sorry if this was like a little bit too like emo and like overboard, but I just needed to share. That was my diary entry for today. And you're not alone. Even successful women struggle with balance. And you know what? You are a successful woman. If you're a woman, you are successful. Just know you've got this. You've got it, girl. I'm here for you. We can do this. If you're a man listening, you've also got it. Baby, you've got it. You've got it. And you know what? If you're a man listening, you should try and do as many things as us women. Yeah. Imagine waking up feeling different every day. Yeah. You don't want to feel that way, do you? But hey, we do it. So why don't you try? Okay, besties. Well, thanks for listening to another episode of Rat Diaries podcast. I love you all so much. And make sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow my podcast. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.